right, so today what we're going to do is take a look at some guitar practice hacks. And this is so that you'll be able to practice smart and save time. First of all, why do we need to practice? Essentially, we want to achieve something. That's why we're going to go through this process of practicing. And we might want to play a piece of music. We might want to become good at improvising or improve our music reading or just become a better performer. And if you're taking lessons, then you want to show progress every week. So the other thing is that if you practice regularly, what you're going to do is you're going to be able to develop the muscles and the coordination in your hands to be able to play the things that you really want to play. So why do we need to practice often? I think I've just mentioned something there already, but the thing is, if we go too long between practices, what happens is you forget what you did last time, and then you end up spending a certain amount of time just picking up the pieces of where you were in the last practice. But not only that, here's an analogy with compound interest. Let's say you have $100 and you get 10% interest on that $100. Well, you'll then have $110. So then let's say you make another 10% on top of that, then you will actually make another $11 and so on. Let's say that you get 1% better each practice, and if you do that, then over time you're going to see a vast improvement. So how can I turn my practice into a habit? So it's all well and good if we have the idea that we're going to practice, but then it's very hard to make that become part of our schedule and to become a habit. You got to know that it does take 21 days for something to become a routine. So over those first 21 days, you want to be particularly diligent about trying to form that habit. And then after that time, then it's going to start to become easier and like second nature. It's going to become part of our routine. So you also want to make it easy for yourself to practice. And I'm going to talk about that shortly. But right now, what I want to talk about is when is the best time to practice. Well, I would say that the best time to practice is when you're the most alert. And that depends on what kind of person you are. Are you a morning person or an evening person? If you're an evening person, then perhaps early evening may be the best for you to practice. I say early evening because as the day goes on, as it gets into late evening, you might start getting tired. Or if you're a morning person, obviously, then morning might be the best if you can schedule your time so that you have some extra time in the morning. So ultimately, if you are tired, it's a real minus. So you want to try not to practice when you're tired, unless it's something repetitive. And even if it's a repetitive thing, it's not necessarily going to be a quality practice. You want to leave each practice with a feeling that, wow, that was a great practice, and you're looking forward to the next one. So how much practice is best? I'm going to tell you something that I think the amount of time that you can stay inspired, focused, and alert is the amount of time that you should practice. If you make a goal of practicing an hour and a half every day, but you really are going to have a hard time squeezing in that 1.5 hours, then that's too much. You might just say, I don't have an hour and a half today, and you just avoid the practice. So it's better just to say even 10 minutes. You can just run through some scales or do something like that. So I would say if a practice is very short, it's still good. I suggest that you schedule a minimum time that's very realistic that you think you can do every day. And then if you get into the practice and you find that you have more time and you feel motivated to continue, then do so. But be very careful. You always want to leave that practice feeling that you've done something and it's been a worthwhile investment of time. Another point is that if you do very long practices, what I suggest is that you break it up. So just take a break from it and come back, and then it can help keep things fresh. Some of these points are coming from a book. I've been listening to an audiobook, Atomic Habits, and this book is a very good book. If you want to form habits and you want to know more about it, I highly recommend getting that book. So there'll be a link to that if you go to the website. One of the points is that to make it easy to practice, what you should do is decide the thing that you do before practice. For example, after I wake up and I get dressed, I'm going to practice. Or you can say that, okay, after a 15-minute rest, after I finish work, I'm going to practice. Or you could say, after I finish dinner, I'm going to go and practice. So you make that your routine. Another point is to have a dedicated place to practice with everything ready. It's very important I do that. I have my guitar, I have a chair, I've got my metronome, I've got the guitar tuner, all the sheets, and I've got my practice log all in one spot, so that I just go sit down. Within less than a minute, I'm set up and ready to go. So the other point is to keep a journal. If you keep a journal, you'll know what you practiced the day before. Okay, so what to practice? Well, there's the obvious things. You got the scales, the chords, the exercises, music pieces, all of that stuff. My tip is to always finish with a piece of music. Why do I do that? It's because when I practice, I want to feel like I've actually played some music. Okay, so tip number 2 is keep a journal. Write down all your metronome settings and other notes about what you're doing. So that way, when you go back, you can just look at your notes there in the journal. And the other thing is that if you write down your progress, you'll be able to see that, oh, at the beginning of the month, I was playing this at 45 beats per minute. At the end of the month, I'm playing this at 85 beats per minute, or whatever it may be. So now let's talk about where you can get some free stuff to help you to practice. What you have to do is go visit guitarbasement.com for free PDFs, because what you can do is you can download 4-string and 6-string tab sheets. You've got the practice log sheets there, and you can also follow links to music practice logs and page numbered tab and music sheet books. Bottom line is visit guitarbasement.com for all these things. You get free PDF files, and you can also join the mailing list, because you can get more free stuff as well as tips and exclusive offers. So all of these things can help you to practice better, more efficiently. So I wish you well with your practice, and stay tuned, and I look forward